Welcome to Cord Cutting Today for December 24th, 2019. This is the show where I break down some of the biggest stories happening in the world of cord cutting right now and give you my opinion on them. Now, this is my opinion. If you want to learn more about these stories, check out the show notes down below. I'll put a link to each story there so you can read about them for yourself and come up with your own opinions. I'd love to hear from you. If you're new here, do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up. It really does help us because it lets YouTube know you enjoy what we do here. And hopefully we can help you break free from the high cost of cable TV and still watch the shows you enjoy. Well, it's Christmas Eve here. I hope you are all having a fantastic day, no matter what you may do or what you may celebrate. I hope you have a great Christmas. Don't forget, we won't be here tomorrow. Back to normal on Thursday, so hang in here with me as we're gone on Christmas Day. But a special thank you. I've seen a lot of great Christmas messages and holiday greetings and thank yous the last week, and especially yesterday. Thank you to everybody who sent a nice kind word in. Really appreciate it. Cord Cutters News may be a lot of work, but great fans like you and watchers and readers of CordCuttersNews.com make it all worth it. So from everybody here at Cord Cutters News, Becca, Tamara, Jess, and myself, we all say thank you. I hope you have a fantastic Christmas. But there's still a lot of news to cover. Yesterday was a shockingly busy day. Usually, I've said this before, this week is like the graveyard shift, we call it. We often go down to half days because there's just not a lot of news. This week's been a lot different, so let's get into it. Starting off with Amazon's Christmas sale with half off of streaming services like Epix, Showtime, and PBS Kids, to name a few. Right now, if you subscribe to these services through Amazon channels, you can get 3 months of these services for half off, including Showtime, Epix, Nick Hits, MTV Hits, PBS Kids, PBS Masterpiece, Noggin, Boomerang, Comedy Central, Sundance, Smithsonian, PBS Living, and Topic, to name a few of the ones that you can get half off of for 3 months. Perfect timing. So if you've got some vacation time coming up, you're thinking, what am I going to watch? Some of these services are now in the $2 a month range for them. So check out the full list, link in the show notes down below, and let me know which of these streaming services would you recommend. And I would say there's some pretty good stuff, especially if you have kids. Maybe the PBS Kids one isn't a bad idea. I don't know about you, but I grew up in the North where this time of year can be kind of nasty weather time. So maybe this would be a great option to get your kids something to watch that you feel comfortable with them watching. All right, let's get into the news. Now, yesterday, The Verge posted internal T-Mobile documents. Now, they are a little bit older, from 2015, but they're still credible and reliable now, and I'll explain that in a second. But these documents explore a possible merger with Sprint, a roadmap through that, and the following steps after a Sprint merger. Now, we know that Sprint and T-Mobile are working on a merger. Everything's been approved except for a court case, which they're in the middle of right now to get a lawsuit brought on by some state attorney generals dealt with. According to these documents, that was only part of their big merger plan, and they intend to merge with a cable company, and Comcast is their primary target afterwards. Now, what I found interesting here was that everything so far has kind of lined up, even though it may have taken longer. All the steps for the merger for Sprint, some of the planned steps to be attractive to a cable company are being followed. For instance, one of the things the documents talk about was the need to bring in video content to T-Mobile so that they could offer some type of video aspect to entice a cable company. We're seeing them do that with T-Mobile Play, which is a free streaming service for T-Mobile customers, and the T-Mobile Layer 3 deal, the T-Mobile TV deal, all seems to be moving towards that realm. Now, that lines up. The Sprint merger is very much in line with what the documents talked about, even if it took a little bit longer. Term documents show they hoped in 2019 to have this deal done, but it definitely seems to have taken a little bit longer. It looks like it'll be more 2020 with it. So I would say the plan to merge with T-Mobile merging with something like Comcast is still very much a reality. Now, it could be somebody else, but Comcast was the company that they pegged as their most likely merger with a cable company in a post-Sprint world, T-Mobile world. So I'd love to know what you think. What do you think of T-Mobile merging with Sprint? I understand their desire here. They're looking at Comcast saying, hey, Comcast really wants to expand their business. They've been moving into wireless phones. They've been doing it mainly in a partnership with Verizon, but maybe we can convince them to buy a combined T-Mobile and Sprint into a Comcast merger. We got some video aspects, we got some other aspects that Comcast would want, and then make this deal happen. So a lot of people have been trying to dismiss this because it's from 2020. T-Mobile has not denied this with this content here, so it'll be very interesting to see what happens. Now, what I would say is most interesting with these documents is that everything so far has planned out. These documents were prepared as a part of a presentation to the board of directors of T-Mobile as the future plans of T-Mobile for the next 5 years or so at the time it was made. So I would not say that T-Mobile has dismissed the idea that they are going to be merging in with a cable company. I would actually expect this to become more and more of a reality, to be honest with you. So I'm going to keep a very close eye on this and watch what happens in the weeks and months to come. But if a T-Mobile Sprint merger happens, and I think it's more likely than not to happen, I'd like to know from you, what would you like to see happen with a post T-Mobile Sprint world? Would you like to see the merger with a cable company? Are you scared of a possible Comcast merger? I'd love to hear from you. But if you want to read more about these possible mergers and T-Mobile's plans, a link in the show notes, the full details of everything we learned in those documents. I thought it was very fascinating, to be honest with you. And I think it's going to be interesting to see if T-Mobile attempts to follow through on these plans once the Sprint and T-Mobile merger completes, which I kind of expect it will. All right, a judge has temporarily blocked the Maine's new a la carte TV law. So recently, Maine passed a law that would require cable companies to offer a la carte TV, which will allow you to subscribe to each individual channel. And they even talked about each individual show as you would like. Now, this is big news. It'll be a first state to force this. It was passed into law and allow T-Mobile or allow companies that offer TV in their area, I should say not allow, but mandate that they offer a la carte TV. This idea that I just want CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, or I just want the sports networks, etc., and I just pay for those networks. Well, as you expect, everybody sued Comcast, the Association of Cable, which I think they renamed themselves to the American Communications Association. Don't count me on that. All sued. Now a judge has entered a temporary restraining order against the state from enforcing the new law as this lawsuit goes through. The state had already said that they were going to hold off on enforcing it until the law was until this lawsuit about the law was completed. So it's not necessarily a new thing that's happened right now. But I'd love to hear from you on what you think about this law. Now, there's a lot of great things here. The idea that, hey, if I just want ESPNs, I can just get ESPNs. Now, the downside to it is a lot of the smaller networks with a niche following may not survive. A lot of these networks survive on the idea that, hey, we can serve this kind of demographic, but everybody else still has to pay for our channel to get the channel they want, which helps keep this channel alive for the niche demographic. A lot of people say, well, if they can't stay alive on their own, why should they be alive? Well, the flip side is you may be one of the people who enjoys a niche market like that. You may be somebody who says, hey, I actually like that micro segment. Whether it be video games, the old G4 network, whether it be country music, whatever it may be, you may fall into that sliver of content there. There's even talk that some of the bigger networks, or I think there was a report once that said that even CNN may struggle to survive if they had to go a la carte and not get all the revenue that they would expect there. So I'd love to hear what you think about this. And keeping a close eye on this. Now, just because the judge issued a temporary restraining order doesn't mean the judge is going to rule in favor of Comcast and all these cable networks. It's very common in lawsuits like this that as we go through it, that a judge would just say, hey, while we decide this case, we're going to hold off on enforcing this new rule until we can determine if it's legal or not. Comcast and others are arguing that this is more of a job for the federal government rather than the state. We'll see. So I'd love to know, do you think the states should have the ability to enforce a la carte TV laws, or do you think it's something the federal government should do? Do you think this law should be in place? Do you think that cable networks should be forced to do it? Or are you on the side that says, hey, these are businesses. The businesses have every right to sell their product how they want to sell it. If they want to bundle their product, they can bundle it. If they want to sell a la carte, they can sell a la carte. but that should be up to the businesses. Where do you fall on that? There's definitely an argument to be made on both sides here, but I'd love to know your thoughts on it. All right, if you have YouTube TV and you do not subscribe to YouTube Premium or YouTube Music, you may want to check your emails. This week, YouTube TV sent out reminders that they are offering 3 months of premium, YouTube Premium, which gives you the ability to watch YouTube, regular YouTube, plain YouTube, ad-free, get YouTube Originals ad-free, and have the ability to download videos for offline viewing for free. If you're a YouTube TV customer, you can also get a month of YouTube Music. Now, this is a limited time deal. Ends tomorrow. Christmas Day is the last day to claim this deal. You need to check your email to see if you're eligible. These email links are only good for your account. You can't share it with somebody else and have their account do it, but you can go and have it offered there to you. So I really enjoy YouTube Premium, especially this time of year when I'm traveling. I download a bunch of YouTube videos on my phone and tablet as I head out to the airport so I can watch them on the plane. So let me know if you are eligible for this deal. You have to be a YouTube TV subscriber and you have to check your email because there's a special link you need to follow in that email. All right, it's Christmas Eve. That means Santa's flying and all the little kids probably want to know where Santa is. My daughter sure did. Well, NORAD is actually streaming their Santa tracker on YouTube, which will allow you to watch it on your Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, and more. Not through the official YouTube account, though, from some other places. Official streams, though, not pirated streams, just to be clear. If you're interested in finding out how to track Santa so you don't miss out on where he is and maybe throw it on the big TV over here, the Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, Android TV, and more, check out the post just did, link in the show notes with all the details you need to know about how to track that. All right, so cord cutting seems to be taking a really big bite into cable TV ratings, especially with kids programming. Increasingly, kids are watching less and less linear TV. I don't know if they still watch it. Don't get me wrong. We'll break that down in a second. But they're definitely watching less of it. My daughter is a big example of this. She just couldn't care less about what's on Nickelodeon, Disney Channel, or Cartoon Network. YouTube TV, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, that's where she goes. She knows we have access to those other networks. She really just doesn't care. Now, according to a report from Broadcast and Cable, Nickelodeon has lost 29% of their viewership recently, Cartoon Network has lost 24%, and the Disney Channel has lost 27% of this. A lot of people are trying to make out the Disney Channel with Disney Plus may be affected here, but when you look at like Nickelodeon losing 29% and Cartoon Network losing 24%, so Disney Channel's just kind of right in the middle, I would say it has a lot to do just with the general trend of kids moving away from linear TV. The really scary thing here for cable is as kids grow up as cord nevers, it makes it very unlikely in the future that they will get cable. If you grow up without cable and you're happy with that, when you move out, you're very unlikely to go get it yourself. So I'm going to be keeping a very close eye on this and see how this all plays out. But I find this fascinating. I see this in my daughter, and I see this in her friends. The idea that when they come over, they're not saying, let's turn on Cartoon Network. They're saying, let's turn on YouTube. Let's turn on Netflix and more if they want to watch something. So are your kids like that? Are they much more likely to watch non-network TV programming? Or do your kids still want to watch what's the big show on Nickelodeon, Disney Channel, and more? According to this report, it's starting to look a little dire for them. And kids' networks may be some of the hardest hit going forward by the impact of cord cutting. So let me know what you think. All right, YouTube TV has one big improvement announced yesterday. Right now in the web browser, this will be rolling out to other devices in the future probably. But they've added the ability in the guide to scroll forward 7 days. Currently, on most YouTube TV apps, you could only go forward a few hours to see what's coming up. Now YouTube's adding the ability to go forward 7 days. And at this time, it's only being done on the website, so tv.youtube.com. But Google typically does this, rolls it on the web first, and then brings it to their mobile devices, to their Roku players, Fire TVs, Android TVs, etc. So I would expect that to happen here too, where we will see this rolling out. It's been one of the few main complaints about YouTube TV was that the guide data was extremely limited. If you wanted, for instance, you knew that something was happening next week or tomorrow, for instance, you wanted to fast forward to it and set up a recording, that could be hard to do. You just wanted to see what was on tomorrow night, that was hard to do with YouTube TV. Now it's a lot easier. So it's great to see YouTube TV stepping up their game in 2019, and hopefully in 2020 we see this roll out to a lot more devices. All right, last story up of the day. We're continuing our Carte Awards, which are all the best streaming players, streaming services, and more about cord cutting. Now, this comes from you, our reader out there, who has come and told us what you think are the best cord cutting services and cord cutting devices. Now, you, our reader, this time we are breaking down the votes for the best free streaming service, and I was not necessarily surprised by the order, but I was surprised by how far ahead the number one service was. So, in fourth place, according to our readers, was Tubi. Tubi TV was one of the original streaming services that offered free ad-supported content. Hugely popular with cord cutters, offers a dedicated kids section that people absolutely love. And with 7% of the vote, it was the fourth most popular service. Amazon's brand new IMDb TV, though it's brand new this year, it's not necessarily brand new anymore since it launched in early 2019, came in third place with 7.1%, so just barely edging out Tubi. Amazon IMDb TV, which used to be called Freedive, and IMDb Freedive had renamed to IMDb TV, much better name, to be honest with you. I think it was Freedive. Was it Dive? I don't know. Remind me, what was the name of the service before it was IMDb TV? Well, it's now available pre-installed on Fire TVs and available on Roku's and others through the Amazon Prime app, though it's kind of hard to find. It has 7.1%. I think they could have done a lot better if they bring it to more devices or make it more accessible, like through a Roku. In second place was the Roku channel. Now, the Roku channel has been really skyrocketing in popularity with cord cutters. Its reduced ad load, its growing catalog of movies and television shows are making it really, really popular. So check that out. The Roku channel is second place at 14.7%. But in first place with over half of the votes is Pluto TV. Now, maybe no surprise that Pluto TV is the most popular or best, as our readers voted, streaming service with cord cutters that it's free, ad supported. But to see it go from 14.7% with the Roku channel in second place to 50.6% of votes, so just over half of the vote, is pretty surprising. That's a massive growth there with our readers. Now that it's owned by Viacom, you've seen so much new content come. Be interesting to see in 2020 if CBS All Access content moves over, if CBS content in general does. We'll keep an eye on it. Some honorable mentions: Locast had 4%, Crackle had 2.2%, Hoopla and Canopy both had 1.4%, the free services that require a library card. And Zumo came in with 1% of the vote. Everything else was just spread out in that final with less than 1% of the vote. So I'd love to know what you think. Do you think Pluto TV is the best? Does it surprise you that they had over 50% of the vote? Does it shock you to see Zumo with only 1% of the vote? Or the Roku channel in second place with a little over 14% of the vote? I'd love to hear from you. But we'll be rolling out some more of these Carte Awards over the next week as we lead up to 2020, as we break down some of the biggest news events happening right now. So that's it for today. I would love to hear from you and what you think of these votes. I'd love to hear from you what you think about these stories. But I would also like to just wish you all a happy Christmas, a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, whatever you may celebrate. I hope you're all having a fantastic holiday season. If you're with family, I hope you're enjoying it. If you're staying at home, I've been away from family on Christmas many times. I hope you're all just enjoying a relaxing day. So please enjoy, be safe as you travel, and take care. We'll be back here on Thursday with more cord cutting news, tips, tricks, and reviews. Remember, since Christmas is Wednesday, no cord cutting this Q&A, and no cord cutting this week, the podcast this week. Jess has taken the week off of the podcast, and the Q&A would have happened on Christmas Day. So we're going to skip it this week, back in the future before you know it. So I hope you all have a fantastic day. Take care, everybody.